We have just had UFC Fight Night, Anthony Hernandez versus Michel Pereira. And this card, I'm going to say, kind of disappointed in comparison to obviously the PFL being there and having to compete with that. We had Francis Ngannou headlining that card. And then also the actual specific outcomes of this card as well. We had 9 out of 11 of the fights go to a decision, with 1 KO TKO at the very end with Anthony Hernandez and 1 submission in there as well. So it was a pretty rough day for the UFC, but we did have Brad Katona and Matsumoto go through an absolute war. And we had Rob Font as well. He's showing that he's still top 10 worthy. And obviously we had Hernandez putting on an extremely dominant performance over Michel Pereira. So in this video, I'm going to be recapping every single fight on the card and also recapping all of the card's best moments. So let's get into it with the first fight of Austen Lane versus Robelis Despaigne. This has instantly just killed everyone's multis. So to make things even worse with this card, Despaigne obviously losing by a decision. Now, Austen Lane did a very good job at timing his takedowns. Very good job, and that's what he needed to do. I was surprised that he was able to get it there, but kicking it off in the first round, Robelis Despaigne, he has a knack of doing it, he slipped over. And Austen Lane obviously took advantage of that and got him down and pretty much controlled him for most of the first round. But then as the fight went on, he obviously got more control. He got more comfortable in the fight. Despaigne was just way too hesitant. He wasn't getting his shots off. He was trying to find that kill shot, and he just couldn't take Austen Lane out. Austen Lane ate a few pretty good jabs and a few good other shots after that as well. But overall, that footy background actually did come in clutch for him. So he ate the shots, drove straight through, and timed those takedowns and got it where he needed to get it. Pretty much the perfect game plan for him. And Despaigne has pretty much been exposed at this point. Moving up the card to Melissa Martinez versus Elise Ardelean. So this was pretty close, very close first round, but I'll edge it to Martinez on activity. There was just so much movement on the outside from her pretty much throughout the whole entire fight, which was just frustrating the hell out of Elise. She just couldn't get combinations off, and Elise just had the wrong game plan. Again, she needs to utilize a more offensive wrestling threat. She needs to chop down the legs, especially against Martinez in this fight, because she was just circling her every single time, and Ardelean could not get there. She had the shorter reach as it was anyway, so it just emphasizes that she needs that game. But I will say, Ardelean, I think she won the second round. I think she outlanded Martinez just with more volume overall. There weren't really any big shots in this fight, to be honest, so I would probably edge that one to her. But the third round, same thing as the first round, just very clean movement. And, you know, she was just dodging all the shots, all the combinations that Elise was coming forward with. And then Martinez had the clean teep to the liver. Now, that's where it was controversial, because that teep to the liver, the way she obviously buckled, it looked like it was a groin shot, but Martinez should have won that fight then and there. It should have been stopped. Ardelean she definitely would have got finished from that without a doubt. I had Ardelean, and I'm saying it, trust me, she would have been out. So it is a bit frustrating in case anything did happen, but obviously Martinez got her first win in the UFC and obviously showed a very good game in terms of her footwork, just her kicking arsenal in general. She had axe kick, front leg side kicks, obviously the teep kicks as well. And then also she can do that heavily in the third round, so her cardio held up extremely well. I just think with Ardelean, she could have had a lot more success if she actually used the right game plan. But great win for Melissa Martinez in her second UFC fight. Moving up to Penne versus Reed. So Penne, I will say she won the first round. She was actually doing what I thought Elise Reed would be doing. She was closing the distance well and then actually using the clinch to her advantage. She was landing better knees, just better strikes in the clinch, and she took it there overall. But then Elise Reed just ran away with it from the second to the third. And I think there's just multiple factors in that. Elise Reed, I think she's got better fight IQ as a fighter, and it also shows the age there as well. Penne was really slowing down from the second round onwards, and Reed just with the left hook, the great leg kicks as well, just really chopping down Jessica Penne. Yeah, she was just using those very well in the second round, and then moving into the third, just as I said in the predictions, the clinch exchanges. She was using her strength in the clinch, and that from the second to the third, she really just took it there. She took it there, and even out of the clinch, she just found her range very well. And I think she took a 29-28 pretty convincingly in this one. Moving up to Joselyne Edwards versus Tamires Vidal. So Joselyne Edwards looked fantastic in this fight. She was tearing Tamires Vidal apart, and that's what I thought she would do. I didn't think she would do it that well, to be honest. Look, she did miss weight by 3 pounds, but ultimately, I think it really just shows the difference in the game here. Doubled her significant strikes. She was just landing extremely well to the point where she was just styling. She was just throwing spinning back fists like 28,000 times, and that's really down to finding the jab and then going off it. I mean, she was dictating the pace with her jab extremely well, finding the body extremely well. She had very good combinations. She would wait for Tamires Vidal to come in and swing those big, just meaty overhooks, and then Edwards would just counter her completely. Vidal was completely out of range. She just was not having any form of fight IQ when it came to the feet, and Joselyne Edwards was just capitalizing completely outclassed her everywhere, on the ground as well, reversed the positions in the clinch, and then got her down, took her down 4 times, stuffed the one takedown of Vidal. There was just nothing there for Tamires Vidal, and Joselyne Edwards, yeah, 100%. After the first to the second round, there was definitely going to be a finish at some point. Moving up to Brad Katona versus Gene Matsumoto. The one real good part about this fight card, because this struggled in comparison to the PFL. All of us know that. This fight was fantastic. Ridiculous pace. Both of them just on each other the whole entire time. No one took a break. No one was on the back foot. They were both just trading. And I mean, Brad Katona, we know he's a bit of a wild dog. Gene Matsumoto, brought it out of him. Very clean with his striking. 3-2 combinations from him were so perfect. He was really tearing Katona apart in the first round, until Katona comes in with a step in lead elbow and then pushes Matsumoto back. I mean, it was very back and forth. It was just a fantastic fight that you just really couldn't take your eyes off. At least I couldn't. And I would honestly edge the first round to Katona in that first round. Realistically, I think he just got it on volume. He just landed more shots because they both hurt each other, and I think just with the more shots that he did land in the first round, I think he just got it. And second to third round, Katona's durability is ridiculous. This guy has been in a few wars, and this guy just can't get finished. No chance, because Matsumoto landed the cleanest left hooks on him at the end of his combinations in the second round, like 3 in a row consecutively, and he did not get dropped. I just don't know what his chin is made of. So in that sense, Matsumoto, second round on damage and volume, 100%. And then Matsumoto, it was close in the third round. I mean, fantastic in the third round, all of the rounds, but Gene was overtaking in the third round, especially with the body kicks. He started really mixing it up there. He kind of went from his boxing to kickboxing, like with his Muay Thai, and you could really see how evident that was in terms of swaying it for the judges. He just landed more damage overall, and he got the reversals. He got the scrambles and got the reversals when he needed to in those clinch exchanges, and when Katona got him to the ground, because they both got each other to the ground, but Katona landed 3 takedowns on him, and I think they were all in that third round. So he scrambled pretty much out of all of them and got to an advantageous position pretty much almost by the end of the fight. Like the last 5 seconds, Katona was on top, but yeah, Gene Matsumoto did enough to get it done, just got the damage, got the volume there to get it done. I mean, still undefeated, very impressive. I've got a video coming up where I'm going to be talking a lot more about him and undefeated fighters soon, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, very good performance from the both of them. Easily fight of the night. Moving up to the feature prelim, Matheus Nicolau versus Asu Almabayev. This, I was not surprised how low output this was, because of just the way that either of them
had to decide how they were going to actually engage in this fight, because Almabayev, fantastic wrestling, Nicolau, fantastic jiu-jitsu. Both of them are very skilled on the feet. Nicolau with the boxing, Almabayev with the kickboxing. I was not surprised there were barely any shots landed in that first round, so it really could have gone either way. And I'm not going to lie, Nicolau's takedown defense, 93% takedown defense, I did think was very inflated, but not as much now, because he did a very good job of stuffing Almabayev's takedowns, stuffed 5 out of 6 of them. And up until Almabayev landed that shot to drop him in the third round, because it was I think it was 1-1 going into the, or ultimately going into the third, I'd probably just edge it to Almabayev just on volume in the first, and Nicolau had a very good guillotine attempt in the second. So the third round is what it came down to, and that shot that Asu Almabayev landed, sitting him on his ass. Nicolau did a great job of recovering, because he got hit with some good shots on the ground. But having like that little wrestling demon like Asu Almabayev on top of you in the third round is probably the worst thing that can happen to you in a fight, without a doubt, when it's based on points. And that's exactly what happens in Nicolau, which does suck for him. But yeah, I mean, he stayed alive, but Almabayev, once he hurt him and got him to the ground, the wrestling transitions and capabilities that he has on the ground, he was just outworking Nicolau as he was damaged. So yeah, Almabayev clear 29-28 on this one. Now moving up to the main card, Darren Elkins versus Daniel Pineda. This did not disappoint. I think this was another one of the good fights that we did have on this card. It was a very close, entertaining fight. And with no surprise, there was blood everywhere. You know, it's more so from Daniel Pineda's side, which I was so surprised about. He was a mess by the end of the first round. His eye was completely puffed up. He had a huge gash across the other eye on his brow. Darren Elkins, surprisingly, for once in his existence, didn't actually bleed that much. He's always bleeding more than the opponent, but yeah, Pineda, I'll say, honestly, he gassed out. He did gas out towards the end. I had him in this fight. He was landing the cleaner shots, better shots in terms of just like heavier shots. The leg kicks were just taking Elkins straight off his feet. And he had Elkins in 2 guillotines at that point in the first round. So he was in a fair bit of danger, but Elkins is a zombie. The guy just doesn't die. He's able to transition out of both of them, managed to get on top. I'll say the scrambles and the reversals from these guys was extremely entertaining, because Elkins with that wrestling pedigree and Pineda with his like pure strength, yeah, they both just got the better of each other at different points. But ultimately, Elkins doubled the control time. He just landed a couple better shots overall. He landed better combinations, and his head movement was very good in this fight, which I was pretty surprised about. But with that pace, honestly, you can't say that this fight was bad. It was a very good fight. I will say that I think Elkins actually came out with the 30-27. I don't think Pineda actually did win a round here. I think overall, Elkins, just with the volume and just his movement on the ground and on the feet, I think he just overran Pineda as the fight went on. So a great win for Darren Elkins, and a great war to have for Pineda to go out on. Moving up to Jake Hadley versus Cameron Smotherman. So we were supposed to have Brady Hiestand, but he pulled out. So I didn't have a dog in the race in this fight, but I did have Brady Hiestand against Jake Hadley, and let's just pretend that Cameron Smotherman is Brady Hiestand at this point, because Jake Hadley, 5-1 favorite, he got overran. He got overran, got a point deducted. Cameron Smotherman, per the last name, he was smothering him. He was smothering him against the cage. Like, had fantastic forward pressure. When Hadley would pop the jab and the 2, Smotherman's head movement was very good. He only got in danger like once. He got wobbled a little bit, buckled on the feet. But aside from that, I mean, he was running Hadley. He was pretty much running Hadley the entire time, and he looked fantastic doing it. He was on Dana White's Contender Series, lost by KO TKO, and he's come in short notice, 4 days notice or something like that, and has performed fantastically well. 29-27. It honestly could have been a 30-26, which was one of the scorecards. But I mean, yeah, Hadley just didn't really have many answers for him. He couldn't get Smotherman down, and he couldn't get the forward pressure off to really drive through him, because Smotherman was on the front foot the whole entire time, picked his shots extremely well, outlanded him every single round. I mean, not much to say here. Fantastic win for him. Moving up to Charles Johnson versus Sumudaerji. So this was actually a pretty entertaining fight as well, because Charles Johnson got tested a lot more than I thought he was. Like, if it wasn't for the ground control, this could have been dangerous. He could have lost this fight for sure, because let's look at the first round. Very fast paced. Johnson was doing a very good job of closing the distance, and Sumudaerji was doing a very good at chopping Johnson's legs. So it was a very, very close first round. And then the second round was nuts, because Johnson caught him in a very nice flow with that bloody uppercut he has. That lead lunging uppercut, the same one that he caught Joshua Van with. Caught Sumudaerji with it against the cage and was very close to getting him out of there. This is why I had Charles Johnson in taking it in 29-28 overall. I was honestly surprised it wasn't going to be like some form of split decision, because first round's hazy, third round's hazy. Charles Johnson definitely won the second round. So it's very tricky to say. And Sumudaerji, the grappling defense and the scrambling capability that this guy has improved on since his last fight was definitely the takeaway from this one, because he was able to get out of all of Charles Johnson's takedown attempts. His control, he was able to do very good. He stuffed over half of the takedowns that Charles Johnson did, and Charles Johnson has a wrestling background as well, keep that in mind. And Sumudaerji's a guy in his last couple of fights, if he gets taken to the ground, he gets choked out, pretty much straight and simple. I mean, it happened against Tim Elliott, happened against Matt Schnell, not against Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson struggled to keep this guy down. Sumudaerji obviously frustrated Charles on the feet. I think if Sumudaerji was going to win this fight, he could have, if honestly he just pressured more. If he pressured more, got in the pocket, got a bit more dirty. Yes, he's the longer fighter than Charles, got 2-inch reach advantage, but Charles Johnson with his pressure, that's where he's closing off that advantage anyway. So I think he should have just traded. But you got to take away, even though he lost, you got to take away those ground game improvements for him. And now Charles Johnson 4-0 in 2024. Hopefully we can get him somewhere in like the last card of December or something like that, so he could possibly go 5-0 in 2024. That is insane. Moving up to Rob Font versus Kyler Phillips. What a betting nightmare. Rob Font, 5-1 underdog. Granted, I had Kyler Phillips in this fight. No excuses. I had him by a decision. But Rob Font being a 5-1 dog is honestly absolutely insane. Like, he is fairly one-dimensional, but he was doing a very good job against Kyler Phillips in terms of making sure he could get back up. His get-ups were good. Obviously, his takedown defense has always been pretty trash. That's where I think a lot of that money was coming in, because obviously Kyler had almost a full round of control time. So he took the first round, but yeah, the second and third, Rob Font all day. Kyler Phillips was not comfortable on the feet with him at all. And Rob Font, honestly, his combination is just so much cleaner. You can tell that experience was really coming in. He was timing his shots perfectly. Kyler Phillips was on the run. He was literally on the run. He was circling out every single time. He was getting caught. Very nice body shots from Rob in the second round. I think that was the real switcher, because Kyler Phillips, he didn't have the gas tank. I was thinking towards the end of the second that Kyler Phillips is going to get finished in the third, because Rob Font, the overall the volume was really piling up. He landed double the amount of significant strikes in the end. And yeah, Kyler, he's got the ground game advantage for sure, and that's where it was really based off of. But yeah, Rob Font, honestly, as just the veteran he is, it's just great for his confidence. Getting that 29-28, which was definitely clear. I think Kyler Phillips, obviously, he just needs to work on that gas tank. He's got a well-rounded game. He needs to work on that gas tank, though, and hopefully improve just some striking combination bases and stuff like that. And just stick to his game of really trying to mix up his game as best he can. But with his style, Kyler Phillips needs to make sure his gas tank is in check, because if it's not, his style just doesn't work. So when that's in check, that's when Kyler Phillips is very dangerous, but it was lacking for him in this one. And moving up to the main event, Anthony Hernandez versus Michel Pereira. I mean, what do we even say? I had Michel Pereira. I either had Michel Pereira taking this by a KO TKO in the first or the second round, or I had Hernandez in the third, fourth, or fifth getting a submission. Now, Michel Pereira, like, he didn't get knocked out or anything, but just stopped the fight. Like, 100%. I don't disagree with the ref at all, because I am so surprised Michel Pereira made it to the 5th round. He was getting ragdolled. He was getting destroyed. I mean, the double legs from Hernandez were getting easier and easier and easier. So there's not much you can even say about the whole rest of the fight, because it was just the same thing over and over. He was getting out transitioned. He was just getting elbowed to the face. He was just getting absolutely destroyed. Like, there wasn't really much we can say. Hernandez was just really trying to beat him to a pulp. He was just really just trying to make sure that he could outwork him on the ground completely and just make it hell for Michel Pereira. It's like he hated him, which they actually had no beef at all. But Hernandez, he almost got cooked in the 1st round. And I was thinking, I wasn't surprised when it happened, because I said in the predictions, Hernandez, that solar plexus and that liver, that area that he has, is his liability without a doubt. That's where he's been stopped both times in his career. The 2 losses he's got, obviously, Kevin Holland knee him to the solar plexus. That's his KOTK loss. And then he also got a bloody teep to the solar plexus, just like Michel Pereira had just done to him, and then got dropped and submitted. So Michel Pereira, when he got this and how powerful Michel Pereira is, it was very surprising that Hernandez was actually was able to stay up and trade in that 1st round, because he was definitely hurt. And Michel Pereira just missed out on the most golden opportunity to get him out of there. He just didn't capitalize. He should have gone absolutely crazy, just like he normally does. But I think just that concern of those 5 rounds, that's where it was an issue for him. I think Michel Pereira needs to go. He needs to stay like Khamzat Chimaev style. He needs to be all out 1st and 2nd round, and if he doesn't get it done in the 1st and 2nd round, he's just got to hope. But he needs to use what he's got in the 1st and 2nd round, because fighters are this guy is so strong. Like, he was bullying Hernandez in the clinch exchanges at the start. Even Hernandez said so. It was so easy to tell. He is massive. I don't know how the hell he made 170 pounds. He, honestly, I don't really see a point in him trying to have like an economic kind of game. I think he needs to just go absolutely balls to the wall in the 1st and 2nd round of all his fights, because he is just so strong, he's so powerful, he's so unorthodox, and not many fighters can deal with that, because they're not as strong as him, they're not as fast as him, they're not as explosive as him. So use that best advantage of your game to the best of your abilities, and just go out in the 1st, 2nd round, because look what he's done every single time he's been a middleweight up until this point. He has gone crazy in all 3 of his middleweight fights and got every single one of them out of there in the 1st round. Now, if he just didn't do the same thing against Hernandez, because I think it was that 5-round scare. If he did it, honestly, I think he probably could have got Hernandez out of there. I'm not gonna lie. It's not even because I had him. I think he could have done it. I really do think so. Hernandez was hurt badly. So you get hit in the solar plexus, your body's just shutting down. So Michel Pereira did leave him a bit of oxygen to room, and that's when Hernandez struck back. If he didn't do that, I think it could have been done. But Anthony Hernandez, this is the reason why I have him in my underrated fighters video. He is a dog. Like, he is very good in just all areas. He's not the greatest in any area, but he is just very durable, just got a lot of willpower, can just make any fight dirty, and he has got a gas tank for days. He's got one of the best gas tanks in the middleweight division, 100%, and that just shows. You go into the 5th round, he starts elevating his game even more, while Michel Pereira's cardio is going down. So he is just getting more and more scary as the fight goes on. And you look at it in the 5th round, when the fight got stopped, he was just using very powerful elbows, more powerful than any of the shots he was using through 1, 2, 3, and 4, and pretty much sliced Michel Pereira's eyebrow off. I mean, basically 200 significant strikes, over 3 rounds of control time. That is ridiculous. He broke a bunch of records in this fight, and we haven't seen dominance like this since Cannonier put Vettori on a bloody dog leash. So this is ultimately seriously impressive from Anthony Hernandez. He needs a fight in the top 5, and I actually think even if it's not the top 5, if it's just up there anyway, I think he needs to fight Brendan Allen. I think if you put him against Brendan Allen, very similar in styles, and I think they're about even on the feet, to be honest. So I think the grappling there is a serious test for Hernandez, because Brendan Allen, He is very good on the ground. We all know that. But can Brendan, and plus they've got history. They've fought before. Anthony Hernandez has beaten Brendan Allen. He beat him in a 5-round fight by a decision. So there is a storyline there. I think we get this one done for another Fight Night headliner. I think it's fantastic. The grappling exchanges there would definitely be interesting to see who can get the better of them, especially now with Brendan Allen improving so much. So yeah, very, very good in terms of just like the overall in the first and second round. I'll say it was definitely interesting because Michel Pereira stood a chance, but overall, Anthony Hernandez absolutely dog walked him. And moving on to the Fight Card Awards, kicking it off with Fighter to Watch, got Gene Matsumoto. I mean, this guy, 16-0 in the UFC. He is very well-rounded, shoots very good takedowns. He hits like a sniper. He strikes like a sniper. Shots are very clean, very calculated. He's got a very high significant strike accuracy statistic. I mean, there's not much we can say in the bad department of him. In the con department, he is just improving and improving. The guy's only like 25 years old, and he's beating like a 2-time TUF winner who is not out of his prime age range. So yeah, Gene Matsumoto, keep a lookout for this guy. And with that, moving on to Fight of the Night, I'm going with Brad Katona versus Gene Matsumoto. I mean, these guys put on an absolute war. Easily by far the best fight on this fight card, without a doubt, because as I said in the predictions, I made this my Fight of the Night in the predictions, and I was very confident in it, and so it got it. It's very simple to say, because if you put someone that is extremely well-rounded against another guy that's extremely well-rounded, and they're both extremely durable, and one of them's like a veteran and the other one is like veteran that's in their prime age range, and another one that's an up-and-comer who is also undefeated, that is just a recipe for an amazing fight. And look, Brad Katona, amazing durability. Don't know what the fuck that guy's chin is made of. Amazing durability, kept up with the striking as well, and obviously beat Matsumoto when it came to the takedowns. He outlanded him 4-1, and obviously as well, looking on the flip side, Gene Matsumoto, his hands, absolute laser on the feet. He used his left hook fantastically well, was catching Brad Katona. Katona didn't get dropped. They were trading back and forth. Katona had the elbows. They both backed each other up. They both then just came straight back forward again. They were like magnets. And honestly, easily Fight of the Night. I was extremely entertained, and yeah, was not surprised at all that this definitely did not disappoint. Now moving on to the top 3 most notable moments on the card. In at number 3, I've got Daniel Pineda, obviously, you know, with the war that he had, but also him retiring as well. I mean, he's a guy that's been around the MMA space for a very long time, very, very long time, and one of the rare guys who is a finishing machine. Never won by a decision. All 28 of his wins by finish. Very rare to have a fighter like that. And this guy, you can tell, like, the power he generates, you know, throughout his career. Even when he was fighting against Darren Elkins, literally one leg kick swept both of his legs out. He's always been a very powerful fighter. But ultimately, obviously, it wasn't his fight to win in this one. But I think this is like a perfect retirement for him. I mean, you know, it was a war, a lot of damage there. You know, even both sides, he had Elkins in some danger in some certain points. But yeah, just a great, just classic fight to have, especially for your retirement fight. Now, moving on to second place, I'm going with Robelis Despaigne getting exposed. I mean, everyone had this guy. I would be very surprised if you said you had Austen Lane winning that fight. I have obviously had Robelis Despaigne. Look, Despaigne, he is pretty funny because the Weasel came out with a video like saying that he is like the next Francis Ngannou. He's Francis Ngannou's replacement, which is no slight against the Weasel. I mean, this guy's coming in as like literally like the biggest fighter in heavyweight that we've ever seen, and he has a very good taekwondo base, so it's no surprise there. But it's just the fact that it's MMA. Like, it's just proof in the pudding that you need to have a bloody ground game. You need to be able to have a fight style that at least you can defend takedowns. Like Izzy, when he was going through and absolutely beating everyone, he could defend takedowns extremely well. And with his kind of style, like that taekwondo base, guys like Stephen Thompson, I think Dom Cruz said, like Stephen Thompson, he should chat to him about, you know, takedown defense. Like he needs a way to utilize to that style that he has, and then also be able to, you know, use a very good takedown defense game to then keep it on the feet where he has a massive advantage. Because if Robelis Despaigne was like 5 years younger and then was able to defend takedowns, seriously, this guy could be a champion, like without a doubt, because he's got such a high ceiling with his striking. He's been so successful in Taekwondo, but not having that ground game. I mean, if Austen Lane's taking you down, you're not making it into the top 15. Like, it's just simple as that. And Robelis Despaigne is not getting any younger either. I believe he's 36 now. So yeah, he did get exposed in this fight. I mean, obviously the Waldo Cortez Acosta one, I was like, okay, that's not too bad, because Waldo Cortez Acosta is a top 15 level fighter, to be honest. But doing it against Austen Lane, yeah, he really needs to work on that game. And moving on to the most notable moment of the card, just like Despaigne, Michel Pereira getting exposed. I mean, what can you say? Michel Pereira, through the first and second round, this guy is a first round killer. Don't get me wrong, but the way he gassed, his stamina decline was insane. Like he has a ridiculous amount of muscle mass, don't get me wrong, but he was not able to strike back. Like he couldn't even throw anything. Like Hernandez was just honestly just playing with him. It's like playing with his food. Like through to the third, fourth, and fifth. Honestly, in part to the second round, Michel Pereira had absolutely nothing, and it was like the whole car. It was all the whole fight in general, because you've got obviously Michel Pereira getting exposed like that, but then it got into the fifth round, and Anthony Hernandez, they're in their corners going into the fifth, and Chris Curtis is there in Michel Pereira's corner. He's like, you've got to just take his head off. Which is true. He literally would have to take his head off, which Chris Curtis was obviously saying in Michel Pereira's corner. And that's the thing I like about the Apex, is because you can hear specific things. And when you can hear the crowd say certain things, and obviously corners and stuff, which you can't hear in sold out arenas, obviously Anthony Hernandez comes out and he's just like, that's fucked up. Like he's saying like, that's fucked up, man, to Chris Curtis, like saying, yeah, there wasn't any beef there, but you could just tell that Anthony Hernandez had this in the bag easily. Like there was just no argument going through to the third, fourth, and obviously the fifth going into that. You literally have you pan from Chris Curtis saying, you cut his head off, take his head off, and then him saying that's fucked up, and then you pan to obviously Fluffy Hernandez just putting an elbow through his skull. So yeah, it was pretty entertaining in that sense. But Anthony Hernandez, honestly, like it really just exacerbates him. He's going to be going for the top 5 very soon. And Michel Pereira, man, as I said, I've already said it in his recap, in that analysis, he just needs to honestly be that Khamzat Chimaev based fighter. Just use first, second round, all in or die. That is the game that he needs to play. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more MMA based content, definitely check out the 5 fights that I need to see specific outcomes from before 2025. So these are fights that not only have major implications within the fight themselves, but these 5 fights, the outcome of those have major implications for the whole entire division that they're in. So I'll go through all of that in that video. It's just up on the screen now. And please like, comment, subscribe. It really goes a long way for the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.